The New York Islanders season is over. They lost a hard-fought six-game series with the Carolina Hurricanes, falling in Game 6 in overtime. We will discuss what happened to the Islanders and where they're going from here, all next on the road to the Stanley Cup. Gil Martin here. The Locked On Road to the Stanley Cup continues as we discuss the New York Islanders with me, Gil Martin, as we talk about what happened to them in the postseason. And, really the biggest reason that the Islanders lost their series to Carolina was special teams. At the end of the series, the Islanders only scored one power play goal in the entire series. They gave up a shorthanded goal in the series, and Carolina was able to take advantage more often than not of their special teams opportunities, and that really ended up costing the Islanders the series. Overall, 5-on-5, this was probably slightly in the Islanders' favor, but special teams really belonged to Carolina, and that was a huge, huge difference in the series. As far as which players underperformed for the Islanders, I think you have to start with Bo Horvat. He really wasn't much of a factor throughout the series. It was definitely frustrating when you make that acquisition. He had a goal and an assist in the series, but the goal was kind of a meaningless goal, a shorthanded goal at the very end of a game where they were already trailing 5-1. And, Bo Horvat, for example, didn't have any shots in Game 6, maybe had one shot in a lot of games. He really wasn't a factor offensively, and that was very costly because the Islanders brought him in to really help the offense, and he just wasn't able to do that. Now, there were plenty of other players who did not meet expectations in this series, but when you spend as much as the Islanders did for Bo Horvat, and he doesn't come through with more than 2 points in 6 games, and the goal is a meaningless one, that really is a factor. As far as bright spots from this series, the Islanders played tough. They were physical, and they got some great goaltending. More than anything else, really, this series reinforced the fact that Ilya Sorokin is an elite goaltender and that he can keep a team that is undermanned from a talent standpoint in any game and in any playoff series. While a lot of shots were coming his way, Sorokin was cool and collected, and I think he really showed that he is the kind of goalie who is capable of winning a Stanley Cup. He's already won a KHL championship when he was in Russia, and I think he is more than capable of being the kind of goalie who can lead a team to Stanley Cup glory. I don't think that this series loss makes the Islanders season a failure. Realistically, they barely made the playoffs. It wasn't determined until they won the 82nd and final game of the season. So, how do you say that they were expected to win? It certainly would have been a lot better for the franchise to win win a series and go to the second round. The Islanders are the kind of team that are capable of beating anybody, but they wouldn't be favored against any of the other teams really in the playoffs, with the possible exception of the Florida Panthers. So no, it doesn't render the season a failure, but it does render it a major disappointment. As far as changes coming this summer as a result of this loss, it's all going to hinge on the future, I think, of the general manager. And if Lou Lamoriello returns at the age of 80, if he's not fired, which I don't think they're going to do, and if he doesn't retire, which I think is possible, his contract is supposed to be up this offseason. If that, if he stays, I'm not sure the team does what I feel they need to do, which is to get younger, faster, and more skilled, because this team lacks goal scoring. They lack depth offensively and defensively. and they're old and slow. And I think if Lou Lamoriello stays on as GM, they won't make the necessary changes. This team, the way it's built, has maxed out their potential. Those 2 runs to the conference final in 2020 and 2021 are really going to be the high point of this era of Islanders hockey. And I think going forward, even with the Bo Horvat signing and trade, this team has maxed out what they're going to do the way they're presently constituted. So hopefully they get younger, faster, and more skilled. But if Lou Lamoriello is the GM next year, I'm not sure that that is going to happen. That does it for our Islanders review here on the Locked On Road to the Stanley Cup. Be sure to subscribe or follow Locked On Islanders for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.